The national debt is now larger than the U.S. economy. Exceeds 100% of GDP.
Hey, what's up, America? The United States may be going into a full credit crisis.
Donald Trump has just solved our national debt crisis.
America is officially broke because the national debt just officially passed the size of the entire economy.
America has smashed through another remarkable milestone. Our national debt is now larger than our entire economy.
America just crossed a line that hasn't been crossed, and most people have absolutely no idea what it means for their money.
America's debt crisis is not an immediate problem, but it can become one.
The United States is now over $37 trillion in debt. That number is so huge, it's hard to even imagine. To put it into perspective, if you spent $1 every second, it would take over 1 million years to spend $37 trillion. And here's the scary part. America's debt is now larger than the entire U.S. economy itself. So the big question is, how is the richest country in the world drowning in debt? It started slowly. For decades, the U.S. government kept spending more money than it collected in taxes. Wars, stimulus checks, healthcare programs, infrastructure, military spending, all of it added up. Instead of cutting spending, the government borrowed more money. And who lends them that money? Investors, banks, pension funds, and even other countries like Japan and China buy U.S. Treasury bonds because they trust America will pay them back. But now, the debt is growing faster than ever. And the real problem isn't just the debt itself, it's the interest. Every year, America now spends hundreds of billions of dollars just paying interest on its debt. That money could have gone into roads, schools, healthcare, or lowering taxes. Instead, it's being burned just to keep the system alive. So why hasn't America collapsed? Because the US dollar is still the world's dominant currency. Global trade, oil markets, and international banking still depend heavily on the dollar. As long as the world trusts the US economy, America can keep borrowing. But that trust isn't guaranteed forever. If investors start losing confidence, borrowing becomes more expensive, inflation rises, and the economy can slow down hard. Some experts believe this debt is manageable. Others think America is sitting on a financial time bomb. One thing is certain, a $37 trillion debt isn't just a number anymore. It's a warning sign for the future of the global economy. And the scary part? Every second you watched this video, America's debt kept growing.
What's happening now, just to put it in perspective, is the government is spending about $7 trillion a year, and it's taking in about $5 trillion a year.
So there's a $2 trillion discrepancy.
Deficit. So it's spending, think of it like a family, it's spending 40% more than it is taking in. And it's been doing that for many years, and as a result, it has a debt that is 6 times, 600% of its income. So that is a squeeze that's developing. And this is a situation really that you're at the point where both the government, federal, will have that deficit to fund, and then the central bank comes in and buys. So we see a lot of pressure on the central bank to ease monetary policy, to bring those interest rates down and so on. And that has can have a problem if it makes the bonds no longer attractive.
I know that, we've spoken about this economic heart attack, and you've raised the alarm about America's $37 trillion debt could cause this heart attack.
America is officially broke because the national debt just officially passed the size of the entire economy. So here's what you need to know to protect yourself. The US debt surpassed 100% of GDP for the first time since World War II, and it's likely going to break this record real soon. In plain English, the US owes more than what it makes an entire year, and it gets worse. So you know how we as individuals can calculate our net worths, right? We take what we have, aka assets, minus what we owe, aka liabilities, and that is our net worth. Well, the country can kind of do the same. So a couple of economists ran the Treasury's own numbers and found this: $6 trillion in assets, $47 trillion in liabilities. That means Uncle Sam is $41 trillion under the hole and technically insolvent. But here's the thing, countries that print their own money don't go bankrupt the way that you and I do. So what do they do instead? They debase, meaning they print more money, like exactly what they did over here. So meaning every dollar that you already have in your pocket drops in value. To put in perspective on how bad it's been, a dollar back in 1913 has the same purchasing power as 3 cents today. That's 97% purchasing power gone. So how do you protect yourself? 2 assets, gold and Bitcoin. Ray Dalio, who runs the largest hedge fund in the world, recommends putting 5 to 15% of your portfolio in gold or Bitcoin as a hedge. And one ETF that I personally use is BTC. BTGD. This is not sponsored, I just really love them. And basically what this ETF does is that every dollar that you put in, you get $1 of gold exposure and $1 of Bitcoin exposure. So you're getting 200% notional exposure. Typically, if you only have $1 and you want to split it against two assets, that means 50 cents goes here and 50 cents goes there. But this one, you get $1 here and $1 there. So it's capital efficient. So you're stacking both hedges instead of splitting one, but of course it does come with more downside. So do yourself a favor, whether it's owning this ETF, gold, Bitcoin, or other assets, just don't hold too much cash.
Hey, what's up, America? The United States may be going into a full credit crisis. And that's because people can't pay their credit cards or loans or car payments whatsoever anymore. You see, the cost of living here in the United States is so great that a great deal of people are falling behind on paying car payments and credit card bills. Now, a lot of people over the last couple of years actually took out credit cards simply so they could afford groceries, knowing they couldn't pay them. Same with the car loans. They knew that they needed a car, but they simply couldn't afford it, but they did it fucking anyway.
Y'all haters said it would never happen, but Donald Trump has just solved our national debt crisis. That's right, his solution to solving the $37 trillion national debt is to give billions and billions of dollars to America's greatest ally and then beg Americans to pay off their debts. And he's made it even easier for Americans to give them their spare money while they're paying $5 a gallon at the gas pump by saying that they'll take PayPal or Venmo. And since Americans are already paying an average of 37% of their income to the federal government, I didn't think anybody would want to donate their cash to a government that can't even balance its own checkbook. But apparently, since 1996, Americans have contributed $67.3 million towards the national debt, and that roughly covers 20 minutes of the new debt accumulation. And right now, there is a 95% chance that the United States is going to hit $40 trillion in national debt by the year 2027.
America has smashed through another remarkable milestone. Our national debt is now larger than our entire economy. That hasn't happened since World War II. And this time around, it isn't a global conflict, but rather, listen to this, a total bipartisan abdication of making hard choices. That's how the Nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget described the unwillingness of lawmakers to cut spending. And to be fair, there are many actors from both parties who are responsible for all the borrowing in recent years that made our debt balloon to 100% of GDP. Now, Treasury Secretary Bessent says the Trump administration's plan is to grow the economy in such a way that it balances things out by 2028. But in the meantime, the spending is continuing. We're looking at, in President Trump's second term, another $2 trillion added to the deficit. There was already $4 trillion that was greenlit by congressional Republicans for the president's tax law. Now Congress is looking at the president's proposal for defense spending, which is $1.5 trillion. One of America's top economists from the Minneapolis Fed told me that all of this is going to be a problem, ultimately, for the U.S. economy. The national debt is now larger than the U.S. economy. It exceeds 100% of GDP, going towards a record here. What risk does that pose?
Well, no one knows, how big is the danger zone and when there's going to actually trigger some kind of a crisis. If you look, I know you know this, if you look at the CBO's forecast for where the debt is going, it's absolutely headed to an unsustainable level. Ultimately, this is the job of our fiscal policymakers, Congress, and the executive branch to come together and put us on a sound fiscal trajectory, which we're not on right now. I don't see an immediate crisis brewing, but at some point it's going to be a problem, and ultimately our political system needs to address it.
Day 41 of paying off my $100,000 credit card debt. I'm not paying anything off today because I made no money, but this is just a friendly reminder. If you want your available spend to be negative $66,000, be like me and spend on dumb stuff.